What's up, movie lovers? We're the Hills Maniacs, and today we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite movie actors of all time. So the way this works is we have each come up with a list of our 5 personal favorite actors, and we're going to kind of run down the list. If we have any that are the same, we'll talk about them at the same time, kind of thing, and just give our thoughts on each one. My first one is just Robert Downey Jr. I don't know. I think it was mostly just because of him playing Tony Stark in the Marvel movies and stuff. But I just think he did really good at that role, and I kind of liked him in the Sherlock Holmes movies and stuff. Also, I feel like he has enough range where like he can be a really good. He could play anything really. I mean, I don't know. Some people are questioning like some of his other movies he was in. They might not have been that great, but just his role as Tony Stark, like he really put his work into playing that character, and you could tell like every emotion on his face, like everything he played, he always played that character perfectly. Like I don't think you could recast anyone to play a different version of Tony Stark.
Yeah, it would be hard.
Than you got from Robert Downey Jr. He was funny at the right moments. He's he can be serious at the right moments and that kind of stuff. You really see that in kind of all his movies, but like I think Doolittle, overdid it a little bit. But the fact that
he was
just
obviously
won,
good in Oppenheimer.
right, he just won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in Oppenheimer, so I guess that's credit to him. I hope that leads to more like movie roles in the future. I don't know what his future plans are now that he's done with Marvel and stuff, but I don't know. I've just always kind of since I saw it in the first Iron Man movie. I kind of like him as the actor and the character of Tony Stark in Iron Man, like just all together. I just think it's really a perfect pairing, like putting him as that character. And I think he does really well in like any movie he's in, really. I don't know what other people's opinions are of him, or in the movies he's been in and stuff, but I just think he did really well in the ones that I've seen him in, at least.
So my first one, I'm going with one of my favorite comedic actors, somebody who's in a ton of movies and all of them are funny and they're just hilarious. He's the only comedian I have on my list, but that's Adam Sandler. He's just a fun guy in movies. Like he doesn't. It's almost like not that he doesn't care, but like he doesn't have a filter basically. Like I'm not doing that because of whatever. Like he'll basically just sign on for anything, and he has fun with all of his roles, and he makes sure that his co-stars are comfortable and enjoy their experience working with him. And he's just a funny dude. To watch in movies. So I think he's one of, and he is in a ton of stuff too. So it's hard not to have watched an Adam Sandler movie because there's so many of them.
Right.
But he's just one of my favorite comedic actors. Him and Will Ferrell, I think, are my two top for comedies. So
some of the stuff he does is a little controversial.
Well,
whatever. Like some of the stuff he says in the movies.
That's how it
But
is.
the fact that he has had a couple movies where he played serious roles.
Yes.
It's always weird seeing someone that you're used to playing like a comedian or like a comedic character.
That is hard to go from one aspect
to see them
to the
playing like a more serious. I forget what the movie was called that he was in recently. That he had a serious. I think he was like I don't know if he was a mob boss or something along those lines.
Was it Uncut Gems?
It was that one, I think. Yeah, Uncut Gems. He played a serious role in that one, like he was a criminal or something.
There's been a couple where he was serious, but for the most part, he's just fun. And the way he can do like different voices and stuff. I think one of my favorites of his is Billy Madison. He's able to play like a guy with like the mindset of a child. Who acts like a child basically, and has to go back to school and all that stuff while still being an adult.
Right.
Which I think is fun, and just like if you try to cast somebody else in any of his roles, it wouldn't be as funny because it's not his personality being put into this, and that's what's hard with any recasting anybody is that it's not that same person, so it changes that whole personality involved with it. But he is just one of my favorite comedians.
Right, and he has his own movie studio or whatever, with Happy Madison Productions or whatever. Right. So I think even though some of his movies are a bit like wacky or whatever, there's also
still fun.
Right, there's also still some like good lessons you can take from a couple of them as well. But that's not.
And if you don't take him seriously and don't think like, oh, I was expecting something else from this, like you know better.
He's meant to be just a funny dude.
A funny, like raunchy kind of, not a care in the world type of character. That's basically who he is. And people have said too, he's also a nice guy in real life. I've never met him.
He seems like he would be,
but yeah, he's just that's why I put him on here, just because I watch not all of his movies, but all the ones I've watched of his movies. I always laugh.
And he's a recognizable actor.
Yeah,
too.
and everybody knows Adam
right,
Sandler.
Yeah.
So.
You could ask anyone, and they would know.
And he's worked with pretty much everybody in Hollywood at some point.
The next one I have, I mean, I didn't know about putting him on there because I only really have seen him in the John Wick movies, but I went with Keanu Reeves. But I don't know, I just think, like, I know he's been in a lot of other things, like he was in The Matrix and stuff, but like I haven't seen The Matrix. I did see Speed and that kind of stuff, and obviously the John Wick movies, but just the work that he puts into any character he plays, I think is really incredible. And he is a really nice guy in real life, which props to you. You know, he's one of those people that like doesn't care about living in a big mansion and stuff. He's rich and he just lives
donates a lot
of
his money to charities.
A lot of, right. Yeah. Just the person, you know, other than him playing characters and stuff, I think he's a really good person and a really good actor as well. And he's got that, like I said with Robert Downey Jr., you know, I feel like he's got enough range where he could play anybody. He played, I don't know if it was Bill or Ted in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I don't know which one he was. I've never seen that movie, but like if that's a comedy, and then he was in one of the SpongeBob movies. I think he made a cameo in.
He did voice acting for Toy Story 4.
Right, so he has different range that he can do, and you can still know that that's Keanu Reeves. Like that's clearly his voice or whatever, you know. And he was in a video game, Cyberpunk 2077. So that was kind of cool to see him in that as well. But yeah, I just think it's like he's one of those. He's definitely going to be one of those like modern action heroes that you'd see. Like if they ever did like a box set of action movies or something like they've done for past people like Chuck Norris and stuff. He'll definitely be in one of those, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
just for his John Wick movies alone.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I also have Keanu Reeves on my list, basically for the same reason. You know, he's one of those actors that like whatever the role is, he's going to bring his all for that role, and he's going to make sure that everyone else is happy about what happens in the movie. Plus, if he can give back to somebody, you know, financially or whatever it may be, he's all for doing that. And I think that's just what makes him. You don't see that too often in Hollywood, and that's unfortunate. And he cares about his fans, and he knows that his fans are what got him to where he's at. And again, that's not something you see all the time in Hollywood. You know, everybody just kind of thinks, oh, I got me to where I'm at. But really, when you're an actor, if people aren't watching your movies, you're not going to be a big actor. So, without the fans, you're nothing. You know, and Keanu Reeves realizes that.
He takes time to meet the fans and stuff too.
Right.
Like if they come up to him or whatever, you know, just on the street or whatever.
That's why he's such a great guy. You know, but that's why I put him on my list.
Right. Next up, I have Ian McKellen. I think the most recognizable roles for me that I know him from is playing Magneto in the X-Men movies and Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings. But I feel like anything you see Ian McKellen in, like even though he's an older actor now, he's still good at what he does. Like you can tell he's putting passion into these characters. I heard a story that he was really passionate about playing Gandalf again when they brought him back for the Hobbit movies, but he was depressed about it because he was in a room with a bunch of green screen and wasn't actually interacting with any of the actors like he did in the original Lord of the Rings movies.
Right.
And he was like really sad about that, so they had to kind of cheer him up and everything. So that's just kind of the passion that he puts into the roles that he plays. And he's one of those really recognizable actors. Like you could put him in anything and someone would know who that is. Oh, that's Ian McKellen. Yeah. I think that's the only two roles I can think of him. Well, he also played Sherlock Holmes in one of those movies.
He has a distinctive voice too, because he voices Cogsworth in the live action Beauty and the Beast. You know, the clock.
Right.
And then
he was in Cats
when he gets transformed back into the thing. But he did a lot of theater and stage stuff. You know, when he was younger, and then went into movies and stuff. But yeah, he's good. He's very, I guess, versatile with what he can do. My next one I have is Samuel L. Jackson. He's in everything. Everything. No, but he's good. He's a fun, just to see him in these movies, just to see what kind of role it's gonna be, because you get some like Mace Windu where he's that serious kind of strict mentor type figure, as Mace Windu, or even Nick Fury, I guess technically would be the same thing. Then you see him in like comedies. He's in Jurassic Park and he's off screen in 20 minutes. He dies in Jurassic Park. Even Deep Blue Sea, when he gets eaten by the shark. So he's just in all kinds of fun and entertaining movies. He's been in a lot of stuff. There's a ton of movies with Samuel L. Jackson. But he's always, he's one of those actors where it's like, you hear the name, this movie features Samuel L. Jackson, and you're kind of like, oh, maybe I should go see it because it's got Samuel L. Jackson in it. Doesn't mean it's going to be a good movie, but you're going to have fun because he's in it. And he is one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, so there's a reason for that, obviously.
Right, and I think he works well with just anybody you pair him with, too, like for a movie or whatever cast he's in. I feel like he does
he makes
really
it fun.
well. He makes it, I don't know how it is, like, on set and stuff, but at least it looks like they're having fun together when they're paired up or partnered up. Like when him and The Rock were in, what the heck was that movie? The Other Guys or whatever I think the movie was called. Him and The Rock were like these two seasoned veteran cops or something. It was just fun seeing them two pair up together. So just to see like all the work that he does, like he was in, like you said, he was in Star Wars and all kinds of other, even the Marvel and everything else. Every time he's on screen, I feel like he has your attention, even if he's being funny or whatever. I think he's one of those actors that like, okay, like that made this movie a little better. He might have some of the best scenes in some of these superhero movies or Star Wars, whatever. It's always a scene that has him as Nick Fury or him as Mace Windu or whatever in that particular movie. So his screen presence is there. And that's what I think makes him such a great actor.
Yeah, and he's also well respected by numerous other people. I know there's been interviews where people have said, what was it like working with him and stuff, and he said he's basically the same way in real life. Like if somebody's messing up their lines, instead of like criticizing them for messing up or something, he'll make sure that they have the ability to remember their lines, or he'll just improvise and go along with it and make it fun for them so they don't feel embarrassed, because they forgot their lines or something. So he's able. I mean, he's been doing it long enough where he's able to still have that, that kind of connection to the script or the movie or whatever, where he can kind of say, hey, you're struggling. Let's just do this first, or let's change it up a bit and do it like that, and people respect him for that because he's trying to help other people. He's not trying to put them down and make them want to leave the industry. He's actually trying to help people, get better at doing it.
Next up on the same line is like Adam Sandler, like you had with funny actors. I don't know, Jim Carrey. I just think there's like nobody. I don't think there's anyone funnier. Like Adam Sandler is funny, but I think Jim Carrey, just every role he plays is just hilarious. He can play a serious like villain character or something. It could be in a serious like gritty movie, and not even meant to be a comedy, and he'd still somehow be funny, I think. And that's just the kind of person he is. You see him in interviews in real life or like on the talk shows and stuff like The Tonight Show and all that. And he's still just as funny there as he is in these movies. And a lot of his stuff is improvised in the movies, too. And I think that's what makes an actor really good, is when you can improvise stuff and make it make sense. It's not just throwing in a random line just for the sake of it or whatever. Like, it actually makes sense like that to that specific character that he's playing. Like in The Grinch, he was supposed to pull the tablecloth off his table and pull everything off with it, but it didn't come off, so he went back and just pushed everything off.
Like, and he left it in.
He did the tablecloth trick perfectly or whatever. Yeah, I just think no matter what he's in, like it's Jim Carrey, and it's just it's kind of sad that he's gonna stop acting pretty soon. Like I think he did come back to do the third Sonic movie or whatever, but he did say he wants to take a break from acting, probably for good, I don't know, but like, to lose someone like him in the acting business and stuff, it's like, he's one of the best, I think, not just in terms of just being funny, but just all the characters he plays or whatever, he's like one of the best actors out there.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll get any
I
better
mean,
than him, really.
He's as good as Robin Williams at doing that kind of stuff. I mean, Robin Williams was one of my favorites too.
Oh yeah,
I don't have him on this list, but
yeah.
but Robin Williams he was at that point too where like when you heard the voice in a movie or you saw him on screen, you knew it was going to be something crazy and fun and just whatever, because he would take the roles and make them what he wanted.
Right.
Jim Carrey does the same thing.
He's
able to do that, take it and build it to what it was. And he did make, he took a character as iconic as the Grinch and made it like a fan favorite character because just of how he portrayed the Grinch. He made him, instead of just being a grumpy old monster, he has feelings and he has, emotions and things, and Jim Carrey portrayed that well. My next one is one of my favorite actors who unfortunately passed away in 2016. In that group of actors that just randomly died in 2016.
Yeah, that was strange.
It's Alan Rickman, Professor Snape himself.
He's right there.
I mean, yeah, I really only know him for Harry Potter. Obviously, he's been in a ton more than that. He was in Die Hard and things like that. But just what he was able to do in Harry Potter alone, I think, is what makes him one of my favorites. He was able to take the character of Snape and give it that emotion behind it to make you feel bad for the character that you're supposed to hate.
Right.
And even off camera and stuff, he said in interviews, and Daniel and Emma and Rupert Grint have all said he was one of the nicest people to have met, and anytime he works with people that aren't necessarily familiar with the acting industry, like when they came up as kids, he was right there as their mentor. He made sure they were comfortable, he made sure they were having fun, he made this, he'd pull pranks on people just for the heck of it.
Doesn't seem like that kind of person.
He's supposed to be this serious person, and there's just like a fart machine on set that Alan Rickman planted there, just to make everybody, laugh. That's just the kind of person he was, and on set and stuff. So that's what mostly for Snape, but he's very good at doing everything else. But I guess mostly villains, because that's pretty much.
If he was still alive, I could see him playing in a lot more like iconic movies and stuff nowadays.
It's unfortunate
he probably would have been in the MCU or something at some point, I would assume, or whatever. But yeah, you're right. He was one of those really good actors, and like the presence that he has in whatever scene he's in, you can tell he's this intimidating figure. At least in the Harry Potter movies and stuff.
Yeah, and he even did an interview and he showed how he was able to bring Snape to life, because someone asked him, Snape is a very specific character and things, and he went through the process and he said, I didn't want to change it from what he's like in the book, because that's what you're supposed to learn is what's from the book. It's from the book. Right. You want to learn about the character from the book. So he read the book over and over and tried to get that in his head on how he wanted to act it out, and I think he did an amazing job. But that, just his dedication to the role as well as his co-stars, I think, is what makes him one of my favorites.
Finally, for me, I just went with another funny guy, because, I don't know, you just think of his movies and they're all iconic and stuff, but that's Will Ferrell. I don't know, I just love everything he's in. He just oozes funny, just from the look at it.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at him, and like, if you see him in person or whatever, or even like on these talk shows and stuff, he just looks funny. Like, Jim Carrey acts funny. He does look funny too, I guess. But like, I don't mean look funny as in like an insult. But Will Ferrell just looks like the type of person that as soon as you walk up to him, he's gonna make you laugh in some kind of way. And I think his most iconic role, at least for me, that I enjoyed the most was him in Elf, playing Buddy the Elf and stuff. Yeah. It's now a classic Christmas movie and stuff, but like anybody can go back and watch it. But he's again one of those dedicated actors that like anything he's in he gives it his all. Like,
Yeah.
and he's meant to be this funny guy and stuff. I don't think I've ever seen him in a serious movie, really.
Well, and again,
What I
just
can
just
remember,
like
but-
Adam Sandler too, he doesn't have necessarily a filter. Like he,
Right.
if he can get a laugh out of somebody, he's in. He doesn't
Yep.
care, you know. And he's so quick with his comebacks or
Right,
whatever,
yeah.
you know, where it's just like. I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd have to sit there and think and be like, oh man, what's a good way to come back from it? And he's just, I mean, just like that, just off the cut, you know, just whatever. And just
Right.
and he plays to the audience, he plays to the you know crowd that he's filming in front of, and people just love working with him. And yeah, Buddy the Elf. I mean, how do you take an elf and make it an iconic Christmas character?
And
Unless you have Will Ferrell
right.
playing him, and
Yeah,
I
no one else
think
could've played that.
my other favorite for him is Holmes and Watson,
Oh, yeah.
where he played Sherlock Holmes. People thought it was a serious movie. I'm like, Will Ferrell's playing Sherlock Holmes.
It's not a
You are not
serious-
getting a serious
It was
Sherlock
a
Holmes.
spoof,
It was
yeah.
funny, and Will Ferrell is definitely you know we're definitely lucky to have him in movies.
And
because
he's still going too, you know. Like
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's voicing characters in movies now and stuff
Yep.
too. You can just tell his voice when he voices someone too. Like he was.
And he's good at
Lord
impressions, too.
Business in the Lego Movie and that kind of stuff. You know, it's like
Yep.
he's this. He almost feels like this child actor. Like what I mean by that is like a guy who would be in all these kids movies or something, but he's
Yeah.
not. You know, he's not in. He is in some kid friendly
Right.
movies, but he's in also like more adult.
It's
humor
stupid
movies as well.
comedy.
Stupid comedy. Yeah.
That's what I'm calling it. Stupid
Right,
comedy.
but I feel like if they gave him a more serious role, he
Yeah.
could pull that off. Like
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if maybe he has played a serious character before. I've never really seen one that. I mean, I haven't seen too many of
I
his
don't think he
movies,
needs
but
to,
like,
really.
the ones that I have were really funny. But I mean, if he were to play a serious character, I think he could pull it off. I don't know though. It might be a problem because you might just see him as like that funny guy, and you're just waiting for the funny moment or something. But yeah, I think he just has that range
Oh yeah.
where he can make anything funny, just like Jim Carrey, like we said earlier. But
Yeah, Will Ferrell's definitely. That's why I said him and Adam Sandler. I think are my top two favorite
Right.
comedy
put
actors.
them in a movie together. Oh Lord.
Yeah, Will Ferrell's definitely a very very funny dude.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, movies wouldn't be the same if they didn't have Will Ferrell involved. So for my number one, I have, of course, and I've said this before, my favorite actor of all time. Dude's got a ton of movies out, and that's
Oh, yeah.
Liam Neeson. I don't know why. I love watching
That's not a
Liam
bad
Neeson
actor.
movies. He plays pretty much the same role in every movie. He's a retired cop or of some kind
Retired law
who
enforcement. or
loses a
something.
family member in some way, shape, or form,
That's pretty
and
much it.
ends up going on a killing
in a
spree
gunfight
and,
with someone,
gets into a gunfight. And stuff.
Or all his recent movies.
And he has a
have
very
been that.
particular set of skills, and one of those skills is being a good actor. So I just love watching Liam Neeson's movies. I can't really explain why. He's just an awesome actor. I guess he just brings that performance. I mean, you take him from Qui-Gon Jinn in Star Wars and cast him as Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins. So you go from the mentor hero to
The turned villain.
the main villain of the thing, and he did both very well in performances, and then everything in between. And he's very capable of having both a serious role as well as a kind of more laid back,
Right.
teachable character versus just straight, I'm the bad guy and I'm gonna,
Right. I think what's cool about him too is he can play both a hero or a
Yeah.
villain. Like we've seen it already. Like he played Aslan in Narnia, which was supposed to be this like
always,
Jesus-like figure,
Yeah.
and then he's got Ra's al Ghul, and then Taken he's a hero, and other stuff he's a villain.
I mean,
It's like,
most of his
he can play
is
either
the
one.
hero.
Right, but he's still, if you put him as the antagonist in a movie, like he
can do
would
it.
come off
He
as a
can do
good
it.
villain,
Oh, yeah.
or a good hero, depending on what you put him as.
Right.
And I think that's goes back to like what we said with all these other actors. The range that he has, where he can play anything. and that's what makes actors so good. I feel like if you can play any kind of role, whether or not the movie bombs or not, is a different story.
Right.
But I've seen some serious actors in like these movies that just did horrible, but it was still they gave their all into that movie, and that's kind of who Liam Neeson is. You know,
even his voice. He's so distinct with how he talks that like if he does voice acting, you know it's Liam Neeson. Like when he voiced Aslan, like you knew it was Liam Neeson because
he was Vitruvius and
how that voice was exactly.
He was good cop, bad cop, and
yeah.
Sorry,
he was good cop, bad cop in the Lego movie.
Yeah.
So you can tell that voice, and you're just like, that's Liam Neeson, you know. And it's just he's just one of my favorite actors to watch in movies, you know. And it's just I don't know what my favorite movie of his is because there's a ton of them.
Right.
But everything I watch him in, it's always like, oh, this is cool, you know. So he's just able to. I don't know if it's the script that's making it do that, or if him bringing the movie to life that's making it do that. But I just love watching Liam Neeson in anything he's in.
Oh, well, there you go, guys. Those were our picks for our top 5 favorite movie actors. Let us know what you guys think down in the comment section. Who's your favorite movie actor? But thank you for watching the video, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.